Hello, hello. Welcome to Scrollscast number 10. My name is Smogan. Today we have a live server game between Mase and Aunt of the Otter. Clever name, Aunt of the Otter. I assume that's a playoff of the sister of the bear, sister of the fox, sister of the owl, sister of the this, sister of the that. Now we have Aunt of the Otter, the new growth scroll, taking over the metagame. Mase is playing a mono Decay build. We see a Baleful Witch in his opening hand. That's something that's a little different, so I imagine some curse shenanigans will be coming out soon. And Miss Otter, the Aunt of the Otter, playing what looks to be a ranged energy deck. Passes the turn over to Mase. Both players do not have a turn 1 play. Aunt of the Otter does have a turn 2 play with the gun automaton. Lots of enchantments and utility spells in hand with the Bombard, Piercing Projectile, Thunder Surge, all strong scrolls. But more importantly, for the early game, he'll have the gun automaton into the scout automaton. Well, he did decide to sacrifice the scout automaton, so left with just the gun. That's fine. Passes over to Mase. Has a turn 3 play with Baleful Witch, but it's pretty bad on turn 3, so he sacrifices it and chooses instead to play Brain Lice that will eventually take out this gun automaton and generate some card advantage from Mase. Turn is now over to Aunt, and she has another scout to play. See, I'm having a hard time picking gender because almost all Scrolls players are male, so I assume male, but Aunt of the Otter is a female name, so I'll just be inconsistent. You guys will have to deal with it. It'll be okay. But either way, the scout automaton comes down in the middle, so the gun automaton was more likely to get an attack off. Ilmire Hunter from Mase is available. Sacrifices it though, has a Cursemonger as the turn 4 play. Love the Cursemonger, especially in a deck that can take advantage of Baleful Witch. Passes the turn over to the Otter, who has a Spark and some more utility in hand. Would like to probably get another creature out, so we'll probably sacrifice for Scrolls here. I should note that both of these players, I believe, are in and around the 1700 rating, so both are solid players in the top 100 of the ladder right now. Waiting for the Otter to decide what to get rid of. Does sacrifice a Bombard, which is always a really hard decision for an energy player to make because Bombard is so important to what the deck is trying to do, but chooses to keep a little bit more flexibility, draw some scrolls, and or some creature scrolls, and does hit a second scout automaton, which is nice. Languid comes down to cantrip and take away the attack power of the scout automaton, and an Ilmire Witch Doctor for Mase, so that'll be really nice later. Won't have a play this turn to follow up with the Languid, but is set up nicely for next turn to have a strong creature out. Gun automaton dies to the poison, drawing another scroll for Mase. Aunt will go up to 4 resources here, and then the only creature that can be played is the Hired Smuggler, so that will probably come down. I don't see any tricks in hand that could take out the Cursemonger. A Machination would be nice, but doesn't have it at this point. Piercing Projectile could go up to 1, but obviously not a great play. Currently the Cursemonger would not kill the front scout automaton because of armor. Spark on the Cursemonger, so at least takes it down a little bit. But then interestingly moves his scout automaton up to the middle. I would have thought that he would rather keep the scout automaton where it can continue to threaten this Cursemonger, but perhaps Aunt of the Otter realizes that the likelihood that nothing is played in front is pretty darn small. Infectious Blight, Reaping Mask, and Ilmire Witch Doctor. I say this every time I cast Decay. I see this Reaping Mask in a lot of players' decks, but I just never see it actually be played. It's always sacrificed, but drew it when he has 6 resources, so maybe it'll come down. Infectious Blight will eventually take out actually that automaton right away due to the curse. Well played by Mase. So that kills the first automaton and then transfers to the second automaton. Onto the Otter will have to decide whether to play out units or just let the Infectious Blight tick down. It would probably not be a good idea to wait 3 rounds to do anything, so I'm sure units will come out. And indeed, Gravelock Elder comes to join his companion in the back. Turn passes over to Mase. Could play out the Reaping Mask. Better play is probably decides on the Reaping Mask, so now that is a 6/5 ranged Cursemonger who, sorry, that enchantment dropped down, and whenever the Cursemonger destroys a creature, then Mase will draw a creature scroll. Reaping Mask is best played on a Relentless Scroll, but If this Cursemonger can survive for a while, then can do some serious work. And note the unstable 3 as well, so that if the Cursemonger does die, that will deal 3 damage to the idol. I would have preferred that Mase save the Reaping Mask until he could actually get a kill off of it right away, but I'm assuming that he played it early because he was worried for a spark or a burn or something to take out this Cursemonger before he had the opportunity to play it. Bombard comes down, and this is why you don't want to play it out too early, because now your opponent has wiped out your creature and the expensive enchantment, so gained card advantage. The 3 idle damage, certainly not worth the turn and the card and the 7 resources played. Sacrifices the Witch Doctor and plays out an Ilmire Tribesman. Unfortunate turn of events, so Witch Doctor would be a much more strong play. Burn and Thunder Surge come out. Fortunately for Mase, AuntOfTheOtter cannot make a strong play this turn, just has some removal in hand, would have much preferred to play out some more creatures. Monstrous Brood, 2 Monstrous Broods come from the top of the deck. Those are not useful right now. Can theoretically be a strong follow-up to Necrogeddon, but you don't see a lot of Monstrous Broods played because it just 5 resources. It's really hard to have multiple units with the same name, and even when you do upgrade them to monstrosities, their cooldown is set to 2, so not a phenomenal scroll, but maybe he has a trick up his sleeve to make it pretty powerful. It does have potential. Anyway, first turn plays out a Loyal Darkling. No strong creature plays for either side right now, though AuntOfTheOtter has a Forge to play out, which will be nice, as well as a Dust Runner to continue filling the board. Plays out a Piercing Projectile, which will take down the Tribesman. 4 attack is perfect for that, and then 2 damage to the idol and back. Chooses to save the Dust Runner in hand. This is something I see a lot of players do, and I actually really like it. Rather than playing out the Dust Runner for board control, you save it in hand so that when you do play a Bombard, you can play the Dust Runner out as a surprise ability, a way to kill a 3 health unit. Languid weakens the Enchanted Gravelock Elder, and an Ilmire Hunter comes down in front of the Forge away from these creatures, hoping to rebuild his army to the top. Gun Automaton is kept in favor of the 1-cost unit, and an Elder in hand as well. So plays the Elder out. It would have been nice to have the Dust Runner so he could use that 6th resource, but saves the potentially more powerful Gun Automaton. 2 Elders in play, so if AuntOfTheOtter can find a 3rd, that would be really, really nice for him. Mase has a Bloodline Taint and a Blight Seed, another Reaping Mask, keeping all of these expensive scrolls. Sacks up to an 8th resource, so he could do Ilmire Hunter and Bloodline Taint at the same time. Wonder what his plan is here. Starts with the Hunter, and then a Bloodline Taint on both Elders, so they are ready to die whenever Mase can come up with some damage. But as of right now, it's going to be hard to get through that Forge to trigger that curse. Note the Infectious Blight is still ticking away. It's on this Canonetta, which will die next turn. Canonetta only got the 2 attacks off. I think it was 2, because one Bombard attack and then 1 natural attack, if I remember correctly. Sacrifices for scrolls. Oculus Cannon comes up. Fury is in hand as well, so he could Fury to take down the front Hunter, which would be nice. And then, let's see, could play Canonetta and Oculus Cannon to solidify maybe the middle lane. Spark's not particularly useful right now, though he could Spark Burn. That actually isn't a bad play at all, which would take out this back Hunter and be neutral on cards, being a 2 for 2. Spark comes down on his own unit, so that takes out the Infectious Blight, so that will no longer tick down and slowly kill his army. So he chooses to, that's another power of Infectious Blight, even when it's not able to kill units, it makes your opponent use their own removal on themselves, which generates quite a bit of card advantage, obviously. Turn over to Mase, has 2 expensive scrolls and a cheap creature, sacrifices the creature, has another Witch Doctor, could play a Reaping Mask, gives what, +3/+3, so the Reaping Mask would take out the Forge, but instead chooses to play Witch Doctor up. So with these Hunters out and the Witch Doctor in between them, it'll be tough to break through this line, but the best way to do it is to top deck a Violent Dispersal. Perfect draw for this situation. Trades with the Witch Doctor and makes the Hunters no longer give husks when they die. It will not die right away. It would be taken down to 1 as of right now if the Violent Dispersal comes down and no other plays are made. Also has Stormrunner and Machinated, so that's 2 pieces of the 3-piece Machinated Stormrunner Bombard combo. Actually moves his Elder away and then plays a Cannonetta down, doesn't have Bombard to capitalize on it, plays a Stormrunner down, chooses to let the Witch Doctor survive for a turn, which is fine because Decay doesn't have a lot of countdown effects, so probably won't be able to get the Witch Doctor to attack this turn or take advantage of the On Death effect. Languid off the top, it's a nice response to the Stormrunner, nice response to the Cannonetta. Chooses to play it on the Stormrunner, cantrips into a Cursemonger, which is immediately sacrificed for resources. Could see Reaping Mass come down here. The second one played. Could instead decide to Necrogeddon, probably not a great play, to Necrogeddon. Reaping Mass comes down, moves down to take out the Gun Automaton, and triggers the Oculus Cannon that will deal 4 damage to the now very beefy Ilmire Hunter. Violent Dispersal, Fury, and Machinated and Hired Smuggler in hand. There are some serious combinations that can be played right now. It may be possible to wipe Mace's board with a Machinated Fury play. Let's see here. If he plays Machinated on the Cannonetta, that goes up to 7, moves the Elder up, so that would, with the Fury, take out both of those, and then between the Oculus Cannon and the Gravelock Elder would not kill the Ilmire Hunter. It would get pretty darn close, though. With Desperation, it could be done. Doesn't quite have the resources to do it, but still, killing everything your opponent has except for a 1 health Ilmire Hunter, not a bad play. Let's see if the Otter decides to do that, or decides to just Violent Dispersal, takes out the key unit in Decay decks, the Witch Doctor herself, moves units up, and takes out the middle aisle. Oculus Cannon weakens the Ilmire Hunter. These hunters are not in position to use their Slayer effect because the structures are, of course, not susceptible to Slayer. Necrogeddon, Infectious Blight, quite a bit of utility in hand. Only the Tribesmen to establish board control. Could see a Blight and then, Blight and then Bloodline Taint play, the old Tainted Blight play. Would take out immediately maybe the Cannonetta and then transfer on to the other units that have all been cursed, but instead plays a Tribesman down in the middle. Still has 7 resources to play with. I doubt we'll see Necrogeddon come down. It would take out 2 units, but that doesn't seem like it's enough. I would have rather seen the Bloodline Taint play, but here comes the Necrogeddon. 3 husks ready to crash in. We'll take out the Forge, we'll take out the Cannonetta, and we'll seriously weaken the Gravelock Elder. If this Elder ever does die, this Elder will die too. Fury comes down, as well as a Machinated. Moves in and actually wins the game. I did not see that play. Very nicely done. So what happened there, and I apologize for the black screen that comes up, clever play by AuntOfTheOtter, had the Machinated and the Fury. 8 damage is enough to take out this 8 health idol, and 4 damage, perfect amount to take out the 4 health idol here. Mase sees that and concedes before his opponent can finish off his idols. Well played by the Mono Energy range deck, taking out the Mono Decay mid-range deck with a few extra tricks that are not in every deck. So this has been Smogan with Scrollscast number 10. We're into double digits. Make sure you check out the Badger Guild YouTube channel for more. Thank you for tuning in, and go play some Scrolls.